Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Our guest this morning is Dr. Loretta Breuning, and we're talking about her new book, Rewiring Your Brain for Happiness, Tame Your Anxiety. But it's not just about rewiring your brain for happiness. It's about rewiring your brain, Dr. Breuning, just so that you don't take the anxiety that you have and really drive yourself into a place of unhappiness and despair, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Every negative feeling we have is because of a neural circuit, which just means connections between your neurons that built from a past experience. The good thing about it is that you don't touch a hot stove twice. That's the job your brain is designed to do, to warn you about anything that might hurt. But you could see how you could just drive yourself crazy, warning yourself about everything that might hurt. So how do you shift from that warning mode to a positive mode?
Right. And one of the things that you wrote about in the book, and I'm glad you mentioned the hot stove. It's like a child touching a hot stove. Well, then the brain is now wired for the child to know there are certain things that we do that we know I don't ever want to do that again. But then on the other hand, you wrote about a young girl who had been in an accident. And if I'm not mistaken, her friends died. Some of her friends died in the accident. And laughter was a trigger for her. But she didn't know that it was a trigger because right before the accident, they were laughing. So let's talk about those triggers that we may not know about that are triggers.
Sure. So these triggers don't form in some intellectual, conscious way. They form from the mammal brain when you have a huge surge of cortisol, the stress chemical, but the core purpose of cortisol is pain and to protect you from pain. So first, any physical pain builds a circuit that connects everything going on in that moment, even if it's not logically connected like the laughter and the accident, although you wonder, of course, it is in a way connected because they were partying while they were driving. But separately, social pain is if you are anticipating getting left out. In the state of nature, isolation means a predator is going to eat you. So when you're safe from other threats, then a small social moment triggers your cortisol, and that triggers all the circuits connected by your past experience. And maybe you had some very bad experience when you were young, and every child knows they're abandoned because we're born vulnerable. So we all have these pain circuits. And so it's just a matter of knowing that it's just a circuit and shifting into a more positive circuit.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, and one of the things that you do talk about, as you mentioned, being in a social setting, and now, according to everything that we understand, social media and social acceptance, and you can feel it in almost everything. Books have been written. People are talking about it. Feeling left out, or going to your social media and posting something that you think is absolutely phenomenal and not receiving the likes that you had hoped or you wanted, or for young people and even older people being in social settings and not being received in the way that you had hoped causes that chemical of cortisone to kick in, and i.e. causing anxiety. But what you're saying is that when we understand that, we can begin to shift. We can begin to make a change. But it hurts so deeply when you're rejected, or you feel that you're rejected, that you may not necessarily understand that you can change that. Let's talk about how you begin to change that.
So what our brain is designed to do is to look for rewards and escape threat. So we're always looking for rewards, and that's healthy. And of course, the more we can focus on healthy rewards, the better off we are in the long run. So
but isn't that subjective, though, Dr. Breuning?
Yeah.
Healthy rewards.
Yeah. Well, so looking for more likes on your post is healthier than eating a box of cookies.
Okay.
So it's like, if I want more, so our ancestors didn't have enough food. They constantly had to look for more food. And because food comes to us so easily, we have all this energy to look, but we already have a full belly. So shoving more food in your face is not going to do it. So we look for other ways to seek. So posting on social media and looking to build one's social network. And it's easy to see in animals that once their belly is full, they invest their energy in grooming someone else's fur, because building social bonds it's like putting money in the bank. It's like saying, I have enough today, but my social bonds help protect me tomorrow. So that's basically what we're doing. And we could keep looking for more relaxed ways of doing that.
Sure. So let's talk about the chemicals and why it's so important that you talk about the chemicals. Why do we really need to know what these chemicals are and what they do and how they affect us?
So before the verbal brain existed, animals were constantly making decisions all day long. An animal is making a decision, should I go that way and look for food? Or is that dangerously close to a predator? Should I groom this one or should I groom that one? So they're making decisions without this big cortex that we have. Mm-hmm. So under their cortex, they have all these brain structures that people have probably heard of, like the amygdala and the hypothalamus and hippocampus and stuff. And so it's the same as us. And that's what controls the chemicals. And the chemicals are what tell the animal, this is good for you, go toward it, or this is bad for you, go away from it. And so we're always looking for those chemical feelings. And when we don't get the good chemical, we feel like our survival is threatened. When we get the bad chemical, we feel like our survival is threatened, even when we're perfectly safe. So that's why it's such a struggle to manage these chemicals. Mm-hmm. But that's part of the gift of life. It's not something the doctor can do for you.
Mm-hmm. So what about those people, Dr. Breuning, that would say, and is this connected to our mental health or our mental well-being? What about those people that would say, my mother before me and her mother before her all dealt with this type of anxiety or stress or depression?
So, everyone has the right to their own views about medical care. So I'm going to give you my opinion, but I'm also acknowledging people's right to have medical interpretations of this.
Okay.
So first, we have something called mirror neurons. So we are designed to mirror others. The second is that our brains are not wired at birth, so we learn from the people around us. We mirror the people around us. When they get rewards, we learn to get rewards in that way. When they feel threatened, we learn to feel threatened in that way. And the mind-blowing aspect of this is like when you spend time with a little baby, you see how unwired they are, and you see slowly they make one connection after another. They learn a word. Sometimes they say the word, but they don't use it correctly. And then by the time they're like 3 years old, they're sort of like you. So that is so significant that I really ask people to at least consider how they're repeating the behaviors that are around them rather than just rush to medicalizing this. And I did it with myself. My mother was very depressed when I was young. And we even had a culture where a good daughter will join in her mother's depression. How dare you go off and be happy on your own?
Wow. Hold that thought. We're going to take a break here, but when we come back, I want to take a deeper dive into that, because generations have felt like, because my mother, my grandmother, the people in the family were depressed, that I too must be depressed. We're talking about tame your anxiety. Stay on point. We're back with more right after this.